let's start with d4. And actually, we didn't even get an abort. We got a full resignation. Hey, not too bad at all. d4, and just the threat of the Queen's Gambit was enough. All right, there you go. He says, I only play against d4. The threat is stronger than the execution. Proof right here, honestly. Okay. We're going to go with d4. f6. Probably not a great move. It seems very clear that he's going to play e5 with f6. I think with this, knight to c3, I mean, looks pretty good, but our opponent's just playing in a way that I would say is quite bad, so I think I'm gonna play like this. Okay, take back, get both knights out here. Because I want to get my knights out, I'll move my bishop at this point. Okay, we'll have to take that one, won't we? Let's just move back. Knight f3 and castle. Basically, all I've seen from the guy so far is, you know, pawn moves and then hanging pawns, queen moves. He finally gets the king castle, but we should be in great shape here. Question is, what are we going to do? Can definitely go d5, but I feel like there's honestly probably better moves than that. I'm definitely looking at moves like queen a4 and queen b3. I'm gonna end up selecting the interesting knight b5. Not a bad move, not a bad move. A4 can just keep the knight there while, you know, hopefully I come up with some genius attacking move. Bishop takes here, and knight a7 actually surprisingly gets the knight trapped, so I don't really get to enjoy. So let's play queen e2. If he wants to play a6, I think we have to let him. Takes looks pretty good right now. Let's go ahead and play this one. Move the knight back. We've got a funny threat here. And then the bishop is coming to f4. Actually wondering if bishop e3 first is a good move to play. Try it. I will try it. Ooh, that's got to be the end of the line for our opponent here, with all the pieces coming in to deliver a check. This can't possibly survive. Let's give that check. And we get a satisfying checkmate with the bishop here. It's a shame he lost internet connection right at the end. So, f6, c4. I mean, realistically, this move is almost in the category of e5, where it's like, just can't even take this move seriously. We should be just taking the center, and won't last very long here. But I think it's a important thing when you're playing the Queen's Gambit to basically, you don't really want positions like this. So you saw me against like knight c6, e5, be a little bit more cautious. f6, e5, I'm still not doing this. I'm not taking. If he can just take back. Just e3. Just, I do like having the pawn on d4 for the most part. I would say these positions are really not what you want to have happen. So that's really the only thing I would caution against strongly. All right, pawn to d4, and we do get a Queen's Gambit right off the bat. Now, bishop to f5. I have been saying this whole time, if this pawn does not get defended by a pawn, then we just take it. So I am going to take it, and hopefully we start to see why that's something we do. I mean, queen takes knight c3 looks like, how could you not want to do that? Queen a5. Let's think here for a sec. First thing I'm looking at is queen b3. I have to admit, the first thing I'm looking at is this, but it is pinned, which is definitely a little bit annoying. So next thing I was looking at is queen b3 or bishop d2. Bishop d2 just so that we can play e4. I think that looks very, very good here. But I was also looking at queen b3, and I think some kind of combining those two ideas looks good. In the Queen's Gambit, if you see this, I think for the most part you want to be doing this. I don't really know what he's got planned on this move, but guess we'll find out. Yeah, the whole point of queen b3 was to take that pawn, so I don't agree with just leaving it there. Okay, let's take this with a check. E4 is now possible, so I think we're going to go ahead and do this. We have it covered, and also, you know, if the bishop moves here especially, then we'll get bishop b5. Okay, so it takes. Bishop b5 is a pretty big threat. Even though this looks tempting, the rook can come back, bishop there, and technically queen takes can be played. Bishop check first, there's c6. So I think the best order is actually check. The rook comes back, then we would see check on c6 again. So now that the king has moved, I think I'll probably just develop, honestly. Develop for mate. Okay, I guess I should take. I guess I should take. But knight f3 looks pretty good. Queen on f8 is taking more pieces than she should. And this is really just collecting material at this point. I think we can just grab this. So the only threat is actually on the rook on a1. So yeah, just about anything will do here. Let's go rook c1. Actually threatening mate in 2. And this does prolong checkmate here, but I don't think it actually saves the position. That's a check. That's another check. And then we can maybe try knight to f3. Lots of possibilities here. Pawn to f4, pawn to, I mean, who the heck knows? Let's go knight f3. It's developing, it's forking, it's not just checking. So this has to be a great move. It's forking, it's checking, it has to be a great move. Okay. King back. I suppose we can just clean up all the material. And yeah, that's probably going to be GG, I would have to agree. I currently have every single piece that I started with. Yeah, so if I see this, immediate capture, this just follows the, you know, it follows that principle of being able to recapture in the center. That's just a priority for black when you're playing the Queen's Gambit. So if I'm playing against it and I don't see a pawn here, remember, as soon as I play c4, I'm effectively threatening to take. If I don't see this move or this move, I'm taking. That's just it. Doesn't make sense to have the queen take back. We're always going to gain a tempo. And yeah, as I mentioned here, queen b3 is a pretty good move, but I really like bishop d2, just dealing with the pin, and we want to play e4. The goal after we take on d5, if there's no pawn recapturing, is pretty much e4 next move right away. All right, we're playing a higher rated player here. Let's go with the Queen's Gambit. And for the first time, we get to see the Queen's Gambit accepted, which I immediately recommend playing e4 against and just taking the center. Now, pawn to c5. And there's going to be a number of, let's say, important lines. I almost want to call them basically theory. Just like important things that you have to be familiar with. For example, if you play d5, knight here, knight there, there's a move b5 that can happen. It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely a tricky one. We can play d5 and we don't have to go into that. And we can also play a move like knight f3 and just defend. For now, I'm going d5. Basically, we don't ever want to trade and get into those lines. So I think this makes the most sense. e6, we can take here, but let's support this pawn with the knight. I'm ready to take it back. Not take it back, but, you know, finally regain that pawn. And yes, knight takes e4 is there, but queen e2 will quickly lead to regret. Oh, well, let's see. I thought it would quickly lead to regret, but let's find out. It definitely does not look right. f5, f3 appears to be just winning something. You have to be, you know, a little careful, but moves like queen h4, there's no knight takes because it's pinned. So they're just not as dangerous as you might expect. So yeah, we'll win a piece here on e4. Takes, we have a number of different things to capture. I think just keep it incredibly simple and take this with check, mind you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Knight f3. This is one of those, like, I hope you castle moves. But, you know, he could play this. Bishop g5 is a decent looking move. I'm going to go for bishop to f4, mainly because it'd be nice to see castling, but even if not, we're threatening d6. There we go. That's a check. And we're going to be able to take here, and that's going to be a fork. So nothing is looking good here, I have to say. That's rough. And yes, even though you're pinning this pawn, I'm getting another queen. So who's really pinned here? Who's really pinned? Let's see. Bring the knight out. You just have to watch out for the inevitable knight c6, rook e8. But we're up a ton of material here, and especially at low elo, if your opponent ever plays the Queen's Gambit accepted, I'm really expecting you to get an overwhelming position in, like, you know, 5 moves or less. I just definitely do not trust sub 1000s to be able to play the Queen's Gambit accepted properly. I do not. Right, basically whoever controls the center at low elo is probably going to do better. Here, my preferred move is definitely pawn to d5. Knight c3 takes, and lots of great moves here. Knight takes, queen takes, getting set up to go like this next. But knight takes, knight f6, bishop here. Normally you would see this, and I would probably take with the bishop. Develop this knight. Surprisingly, in this particular variation, I might not play here. I might actually play knight e2, knight c3, because these look like squares that need to be defended. And white's definitely got a slightly better position here. There's no question about it. Okay. Here comes our Queen's Gambit, and we have another accepted, which means we're going to go straight for the center. And okay, we're getting another variation, and a perfectly acceptable one, and an important one here. So the d-pawn's being attacked, which means we can't play moves like this. Like we need to react. We have a couple of options. d5 is of course always going to be tempting, always going to be good. Instead of going like that, like to defend it maybe once, and then if I need to push it again, I'm fine to do that, but let me at least defend it once. Okay, we see what I would say is the most common response here. Now, the move d5 is, I wouldn't say it's 100% forced, but it looks like the most likely. Don't play moves like h3, don't break the pin, don't casually play knight c3. Your opponent has a very clear threat, which is to win your other center pawn. So you can't just let that happen. So I'm going to go d5. We'll see what our opponent does. Decides to take first. Knight e5 was a very real possibility there. I'm looking at pawn takes here. Definitely looks like something I would do. Just because the knight, I know the knight has to move, and you know, we want to take this pawn back, so I think I will play pawn takes here. Ooh, knight to the side of the board. I'm just gonna say not normally where you want to put that piece. So let's start with a check. And bishop d2. So the knight's trapped, which means b6 is it's mandatory here. You have to play it. All right, that's a free piece for us. Not bad. Okay, takes. We're gonna take back. Our position looks like a little bit messy here, but we're up a full piece. So a4. I know it looks like a weird move here. It's highly effective. It might seem like a move that's beyond your level, but if you're playing the Queen's Gambit, especially Queen's Gambit accepted, this pawn structure, become immediately familiar with the move a4. You're going to be playing it in like more than half your games. It just ruins the... It's a check. It just ruins the pawn structure, and there's no way black can play a6 to keep supporting it because we have our rook pinning. So... not very comfortable for the opponent. We can castle. We see this bishop. I think bishop d7 is going to be pretty decent here. Let's castle, develop. We're up a piece. Ouch. You didn't have to get mated that badly. All right. Knight c6. It's a move, very much so. This is like even a move that strong players would play, bishop g4. Make sure you play d5 here, right? Like I said, don't make the mistake of like doing all these other random moves. No. Realize that there's a massive threat here. Now, bishop e3 is tempting, and this move is decent. There's nothing wrong with bishop e3. But I think d5 is better. Normally, we see people play this. And at this point, I just like to get developed. Knight c3, bishop f4, hit the knight, for example. This pawn is something you can't hang on to. And yes, when the pieces take here, a lot of the time I am going to take. For example, here, I'm probably not going to allow this. It's not the end of the world, but I'm probably not going to allow it. Like, I'm more likely going to play this. So here, knight c3, bishop there, just to kind of force the knight to take. Like, if this happens, where does the bishop go? Somewhere here. We take, knight out, queen up. Like, it's a very hard position for black to play. There's almost no space. So definitely on takes knight c6, we want to start with knight f3. I don't really like playing pawn here right away. I'd rather have the knight and bishop out. I think it's actually to our benefit. Although this isn't a bad move. I think knight f3 is better. d4, Queen's Gambit. All right, now knight c6. The pawn is not defended by a pawn, so yes, we capture. Now, technically, knight c6, you know, it's kind of an opening, but you really have to be quite a strong player before I would say you should ever be touching that variation. And we see here the 600 doesn't even recapture the pawn, puts the knight on the side of the board. This is a problem. Do we win a piece? I'm just going to ensure that the center is good before we go piece hunting, mainly because I want this bishop to cover that square. There are a lot of ways we can put pressure on this, but it usually involves b4, and then the knight can jump in here. But now that we've moved this pawn, however, this knight doesn't really have a square, and so simply the move b4 is already trapping the piece, for example. So the sad thing about winning this piece is we're going to lose all of our center, but fortunately for us, our opponent doesn't take it right away. We want to get castled as soon as possible here. Bishop g4. Rook to e1. f6 is, I mean, again, this move is pretty much never good for a low-rated player to play. I'm guessing that the idea was knight g5 with this pin. I don't know. I'm definitely confused by it. Okay, f5. I guess we'll start with h3. Guys, what is this? What is this gameplay? I can't be co-signing these moves. A lot of mistakes by the opponent here. Queen h5 just to make the king move is probably quite smart. But I'm thinking bishop b5 is actually a little bit nicer. The king goes to f7, and then bishop c4 should wrap the game up. Well, wrap the game up here, but queen e6 wraps it up immediately. The queen and bishop would be able to get the job done on their own, but hey, we even had an extra piece part of the attack here, the rook. I mean, it just, poor guy. I don't know what went wrong here. I have no idea. Oh wait, it was the opening, guys. I definitely don't recommend ever playing like d4, d5, and then not defending your pawn. Like, especially low-rated players, they just can't handle. Like, they just don't know how to play this. It is a variation. Yes, queen takes d5 can be played. But you have to be quite a good player to understand how to play this properly. I'm sure we'll see this variation again, so we'll come back to it. But for now, the simple rule of capturing when no pawn supports the center, it's going to be good enough for some easy wins. Okay, it's time for d4, c4. We got e6, so we're not going to take. We're going to be playing knight c3. Okay, now he takes, and no surprise, we are going to be playing the same move, pawn e4. And even though the move order is different, take note of how we're actually back in the same position that we were once in before, right? We've been exactly here before. Knight f6, bishop here. So it just transposes. Okay, knight c6. I'm kind of interested in bishop f4 here. Like, feels like we may as well make that threat. Also comes with a nice tactic that, yeah, bishop d6, a lot of players just fall for that one. Unfortunately, we have to lose 2 pieces for it, but okay. In the end, it looks like he may not even collect them. So I think queen d3, yeah, queen f4 as well. I think queen d3 should do it. Both look good, but the bishop is kind of a seems like an annoying piece. What do we do? Take here. Knight's hit. Yeah, I'll take this way. Probably need to play knight f3. Ooh, nah, that's not going to be the move. Okay, that's a lot of material. That is a lot of material. And we get king g2 and pretty safe there. Obviously, there's lots of ways to win this, but I think just giving up the queen is the absolute easiest. I just have material on the board that he just can't match. GG. We got another glimpse at a different variation, but it actually ended up transposing to something that we've seen before. So just important not to be taking here, allow this trade, then he takes back. Definitely d5. We'll take this pawn eventually. It's not going anywhere. It's not like he could save it. No, we're gonna take it, don't worry. Just don't need to rush. Let's deal with the threat first. Well done, you made it to the end of another episode in the Queen's Gambit speedrun. Make sure to like the video and leave a comment down below if you enjoyed. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure to click that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you never miss the next episode.